Do you report any of this to the police?
No.
Why not?
There's no point. Yeah, I've been raped. I've been punched, kicked, robbed.
The cops don't care about them. The system just look at them as just like an addict.
America has places so wealthy, the lights never really go out. But when the streets get quieter and the crowds thin, another question takes over. One you don't hear in the glossy ads. Where do you sleep tonight? Not next month, not someday. Tonight. In this Top 10 episode, we're going into the places where homelessness isn't hidden on the margins. It's right in the middle of the city, where exhaustion becomes routine, where public space turns into survival space, and where the hardest part isn't just being seen, it's being looked through. Los Angeles, California. In Los Angeles, California, the sun-kissed boulevards and star-studded allure mask a harrowing underbelly of vast encampments like Skid Row, where homelessness intersects with substance challenges and turns public spaces into daily zones of visible struggle. The 2025 Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count by LAHSA reported 72,195 people experiencing homelessness countywide, a 4.1% decline from 2024. Yet 47,450 remain unsheltered, down 9.5%. Substance use disorders affect thousands, and studies suggest about 37% of homeless adults use illicit drugs regularly, often methamphetamine or fentanyl, deepening dependency in a city already strained by extreme housing costs and constant displacement pressure. On sidewalks, along park edges, and near transit corridors, people slump on benches or pavement, guarding what little they own while cravings, withdrawal, and exhaustion blur one day into the next. Some parks and corners shift from community spaces into open-air gathering points where shared use becomes normalized, and the mix of fear, stigma, and exposure erodes dignity fast. With rents hovering around $2,800 a month and evictions still pushing people out, survival becomes a grinding routine. Finding a safer spot to sleep, staying warm at night, locating food or bathrooms, and trying to avoid both violence and arrest, all while carrying the weight of addiction or untreated trauma. Still, progress shows up in real numbers. Sheltered counts rose to 24,745. And initiatives like Mayor Bass's Inside Safe have moved thousands indoors. LAHSA continues expanding outreach and services, while groups like the Midnight Mission provide meals, showers, and recovery support that help people stabilize long enough to take the next step. What small intervention, one outreach conversation, one treatment opening, one housing placement, can break a cycle that feels unbreakable? These realities remind us how quickly financial shocks or health setbacks can pull anyone into crisis, and how empathy matters most when it turns into action. Transitioning from the vast sprawl of Los Angeles to the historic streets of Philadelphia, similar threads appear under different urban pressures. What role do you think local history plays in shaping how each city responds? Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania carries the legacy of its revolutionary history while facing significant challenges in areas like Kensington, identified by the DEA as a major center for drug activity on the East Coast. Here, issues of homelessness and substance use intersect, creating difficult conditions for many residents. The 2025 point-in-time count by the Philadelphia Office of Homeless Services reported around 5,800 people experiencing homelessness, with numbers remaining stable overall, but unsheltered individuals increasing by 38% to 1,200 due to factors like evictions. Broader 2026 estimates from the Coalition to End Homelessness indicate over 4,300 people without housing, worsened by the opioid crisis, which resulted in 621 overdose deaths in 2025, a decrease from 806 in 2023. Substance use disorders affect many, involving opioids in about 10% of cases, and methamphetamine in 33%, contributing to 1,080 chronic situations, including 236 veterans. Imagine the challenging reality. Individuals affected by addiction moving along Kensington Avenue, appearing disoriented and in need of support, often resting on sidewalks surrounded by litter and signs of distress. Parks like McPherson Square have become gathering spots where people share resources, and emergencies can occur suddenly, prompting community members to assist with life-saving measures like Narcan amid arriving emergency services, all in a harsh urban environment. These difficulties, driven by high rents averaging $1,500 monthly and long waits for subsidies, up to 5 years, make daily life a struggle, with limited access to comprehensive care. Yet, and there is progress. Mayor Parker's Kensington plan has addressed encampments, increased police presence, and introduced a wellness court to prioritize treatment over incarceration, while organizations like Prevention Point provide harm reduction services that help save lives. How might revitalizing these areas strengthen community connections? These realities serve as a reminder that life's challenges, such as economic difficulties or health issues, can impact anyone, encouraging us to respond with compassion. From my view, observing these struggles highlights that empathy involves more than just awareness. It's about taking action. Even small efforts to understand and support others can lead to meaningful change. Shifting our focus westward to Seattle, where rainy streets reflect the ongoing battle with similar issues. Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington, rainy, beautiful, and packed with tech wealth, can feel like two cities stacked on top of each other. One minute you're walking past glowing skyscrapers and packed cafes. The next, you see someone wedged into a doorway, wrapped in a wet blanket, trying to sleep while the cold creeps in from the pavement. In Seattle, the rain isn't just background. It's a constant reminder that being outside here can break a person down fast. In 2024, Seattle/King County counted 16,868 people experiencing homelessness, a major rise in recent years. Officials can clear tents and sweep encampments, but the hardest truth is this: clearing a camp doesn't solve homelessness. It just relocates it. People are pushed from one block to the next, carrying everything they own, losing what little stability they had left. And that's where substance use often slips in. Not as fun, but as survival. When you're cold, exhausted, and terrified to fall asleep, stimulants like meth can start as a way to stay awake and stay alert. But it turns brutal. Sleep disappears, paranoia builds, decisions collapse, and escaping the street becomes harder every day. Housing costs tighten the trap, with one-bedroom rents around $2,200 a month, one layoff, one medical bill. One family crisis can shove someone off the edge, and once you're out there, getting back up is 10 times harder in the rain. So here's the question that hits. If you had to sleep outside in Seattle for 7 nights, wet, shaking, and invisible, how long before you stopped feeling like yourself? Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona doesn't just get hot, it punishes. The sun here isn't a backdrop. It's a threat that never clocks out. While the city grows fast and spreads wide, thousands of people are forced to survive in open air where shade is rare, water runs out, and one bad day can turn into a medical emergency. In Phoenix, homelessness isn't only about not having a roof. It's about your body being pushed to the limit, hour after hour, under relentless heat. In 2024, the region counted 9,435 people experiencing homelessness, with over 3,700 unsheltered, a sharp jump that means more people are sleeping outside where the desert can break you. Picture someone dragging a cart down a sidewalk that feels like it's radiating fire, lips cracked, skin burning, dizzy from dehydration, but still walking, because stopping can be dangerous. In this climate, a simple problem becomes deadly. No clean water, no safe place to rest, no way to cool down. Heat doesn't care if you're trying. Heat just wins. Substance use can make the danger even worse. For some, it starts as an escape from stress, trauma, and exhaustion, but in extreme heat, being impaired can turn into collapse. when your body is already overheating. It doesn't take much for confusion, fainting, or panic to hit. And once you're down, you're vulnerable to theft, violence, or simply not being seen in time. Housing costs add pressure from the other side. With rents around $1,800 a month, families and workers who are already stretched thin can get shoved out quickly, especially after a job loss, a breakup, or a medical bill. Phoenix becomes a place where people don't slowly fall. So the question isn't just, how do we fix homelessness? It's, how long can a human being survive when the environment itself is an enemy, when the sidewalk feels like a stove, and shade feels like a miracle? If this hurts to hear, imagine living it. Subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories so these lives aren't ignored and this crisis isn't left in silence. Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas, Nevada sells a dream. Bright lights, easy money, endless escape. But just a few blocks from the Strip, the illusion collapses. Behind the neon and tourist laughter, people sleep in parking lots, under overpasses, and in hidden corners where the city hopes you won't look too long. In Vegas, homelessness feels especially cruel because it happens in the shadow of luxury. While millions gamble for fun, others gamble on surviving the night. In 2024, 7,906 people were counted experiencing homelessness in southern Nevada, and a large share were unsheltered, meaning the street is their shelter. Picture someone sitting on a curb at 3 a.m. while watching crowds pour out of casinos with shopping bags and drinks while they're counting their last dollars for food. The contrast is sharp enough to sting, a city built on entertainment, and a person living a life no one wants to see. Substance use threads through this reality. For some, it starts as a way to numb stress, trauma, or loneliness, especially in a city where alcohol and temptation are everywhere. But it doesn't stay a coping tool for long. It becomes a trap that drains money, health, and judgment, making it harder to keep a job, harder to stay safe, harder to climb back up. And in a place where the economy can swing fast, especially for workers tied to tourism and hospitality, one lost shift can turn into eviction, and one eviction can turn into the street. Vegas also carries painful inequities. When housing rises and wages don't, the pressure hits hardest on communities already pushed to the margins. And for people living outside, danger isn't just the heat or the cold, it's theft, violence, arrest, and the constant feeling of being treated like you don't belong. But hope still exists here. Outreach teams, shelters, and recovery programs fight every day to pull people out of crisis. One bed, one treatment slot, one housing placement at a time. In a place built on luck, what if the most important win is simply giving someone a real chance to start over? If this hit you, don't just watch, stand with them. Subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories so these lives don't fade into the background. Portland, Oregon. In Portland, Oregon, the emerald greenery and creative vibe often veil a deepening homelessness crisis, where substance use compounds daily survival struggles for thousands. The 2025 point-in-time count by Portland State University uncovered a startling 35% statewide surge to 27,119 people experiencing homelessness, with Multnomah County alone tallying 12,034, a 61% jump from 2023, and 60.9% unsheltered amid relentless rains that drench makeshift camps. Envision exhausted individuals shuffling through puddles in Old Town, clutching soaked belongings while foraging for dry shelter, the constant dampness breeding fatigue and a profound sense of disconnection that hollows out their daily existence. Substance involvement affects over half, it intertwining with mental health challenges to perpetuate vulnerability. Yet, improvements are evident. sheltered numbers climbed to 10,607, a 49.3% increase, driven by Governor Tina Kotek's extended emergency declaration emphasizing addiction support. Organizations like the Joint Office of Homeless Services and Portland's reunification programs have reconnected over 200 with families, while harm reduction initiatives blend treatment into street outreach. How might everyday empathy ease such isolation? These scenes gently remind us that life's curveballs, like sudden unemployment or illness, could lead anyone down similar paths, fostering a shared duty to offer support. In pondering these realities, we build communities rooted in care. If these glimpses into human resilience stir you in U.S. homeless stories, like to connect emotionally and subscribe for more heartfelt explorations. Keep watching to fully appreciate America's unfolding challenges. New York City, New York. New York City stands out for its long-standing right to shelter policy, which mandates shelter for all, resulting in one of the highest sheltered rates nationwide, though overwhelmed by massive migrant arrivals and intergenerational poverty cycles. The 2025 Hope Count by the Coalition for the Homeless estimated 4,504 unsheltered individuals, up 9% from 2024, while nightly sheltered numbers reached 101,978 in November 2025, part of a broader crisis affecting over 350,000, including those doubled up in cramped apartments. Student homelessness hit a record 154,000, underscoring scars that span generations. Picture overcrowded family shelters where parents hush crying children amid echoing halls, or solitary figures bundled on subway benches through the night, their few possessions guarded closely as the city's relentless pace heightens feelings of invisibility, chronic stress, and eroded hope that make rebuilding lives feel insurmountable. These conditions, exacerbated by sky-high rents averaging $3,000 monthly and long waits for subsidies, trap families in cycles of displacement, turning the dream of the Big Apple into a daily grind of survival. Encouragingly, shelter exits rose 24% through programs like CityFEPS vouchers, backed by the Department of Social Services, helping thousands secure permanent housing. Faith-based networks and HHS's $100 million Streets pilot, active in NYC, provide crisis intervention and family reunification services, and supporting over 68,000 asylum seekers with tailored aid. What simple community efforts could help someone feel truly seen in such a bustling environment? This quietly illustrates how life's abrupt turns, like economic downturns or family disruptions, might impact us all, inspiring us to foster networks of understanding and assistance. Sharing these narratives reinforces our interconnected humanity, urging us to champion inclusive policies. Touched by the depth of these enduring lives on U.S. homeless stories? Like if it resonates with your heart, and subscribe to continue uncovering these essential stories, stay engaged to embrace the complete view of perseverance. San Francisco, California. San Francisco's homelessness is notably connected to visible substance use on sidewalks, where various substances are consumed openly in areas like Tenderloin, Civic Center, and Union Square, creating heartbreaking daily realities amid tech-driven wealth gaps. The 2025 Homelessness Needs Assessment from sf.gov reports 8,323 people experiencing homelessness in 2024, with over 50% unsheltered and chronic cases, up 11% to 2,989. While citywide substance use disorders affect 37,500, 16% linked to serious mental health issues, per the Department of Public Health. Imagine weary individuals slumped on crowded pavements, surrounded by discarded items and passersby, their days blurred by the haze of dependency, lacking privacy or safety. Turning simple needs like rest or nourishment into exhausting ordeals that deepen isolation and erode dignity in this innovative city. These sidewalk struggles, fueled by rents at $3,200 monthly and evictions from gentrification, highlight how economic divides push people into visible hardship, where basic human connections fray under constant exposure. Yet, hope emerges. Tents dropped 85% to 165 by June 2025 through enforcement and outreach, with sheltered rates rising 18%. Under Mayor Lurie's Recovery First approach, the Reset Center offers treatment pathways, addressing affected areas via federal partnerships. The Department of Public Health expands clinics, while Tipping Point Community and HUD's Continuum of Care support rapid rehousing and equity programs, aiding thousands towards stability. How might bridging wealth gaps create more compassionate urban spaces? These raw scenes gently remind us that life's twists, like job loss or health setbacks, could happen to anyone, inspiring us to nurture supportive communities. Understanding these challenges fosters our shared humanity, encouraging acts of kindness that build resilience. If this glimpse into contrasting lives stirs empathy in U.S. homeless stories, like to connect with the truth and subscribe for more eye-opening journeys. Stay with us to uncover the full tapestry of change and hope. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago's homelessness crisis is starkly defined by deep racial disparities and the unforgiving Midwestern winters that amplify vulnerabilities, where resilient communities in the West and South Sides shoulder much of the burden amid economic divides and seasonal hardships. The 2024 point-in-time count by the City of Chicago tallied a record 18,836 people experiencing homelessness, a 207% surge from 2023, driven largely by over 13,800 new arrivals, migrants seeking asylum, with 17,202 sheltered, including 13,679 new arrivals and 1,634 unsheltered, marking a 65% increase in unsheltered numbers due to improved counting methods in encampments and public transit. Broader estimates from the Chicago Coalition to End Homelessness indicate 58,625 Chicagoans faced homelessness throughout 2024, more than 3 times the PIT snapshot, including those doubled up or in unstable situations. Black/African American residents, who make up about 1/3 of the city's population, represent 71.5% of non-new arrivals experiencing homelessness, highlighting systemic inequities that perpetuate cycles of instability. Midwestern winters turn this crisis into a physical test of survival. Families layer thin coats against lake-effect winds, moving between doorways, viaducts, and warming centers as snow and ice raise health risks, exhaustion, and fear, especially for children and elders. These ordeals, combined with rents averaging $1,500 monthly and gentrification-driven evictions, make stability fragile, where one missed paycheck can mean losing a safe place to sleep. There are signs of progress. The 2025 PIT count fell to 7,452, a 60% reduction from 2024, largely tied to fewer new arrivals seeking shelter and expanded resources, with 6,136 sheltered and 1,316 unsheltered. HUD's $60 million unsheltered homelessness initiative added seasonal beds and overflow at sites like Spark, while the Department of Family and Support Services works with public health teams on outreach, counseling, job placement, reunification, and harm reduction. Groups like the Chicago Coalition to End Homelessness push policy change, and the Night Ministry continues mobile street outreach, connecting people to medical care, essentials, and employment supports year-round. What community actions could make winters safer and reduce the inequities driving displacement? If this look into Chicago's endurance resonates with you in U.S. homeless stories, like to show your connection and subscribe for more real journeys. Stay engaged to uncover the fuller story of hope and and solidarity. Denver, Colorado. Denver, Colorado is notably recognized for its widespread encampments scattered amid the city's rapid urban expansion and Rocky Mountain backdrop, where booming population growth has intensified chronic homelessness and created sharp contrasts between new development and visible instability in downtown parks and along riverbanks. The 2025 Metro Denver Homeless Initiative, point in time. Count recorded 10,774 people experiencing homelessness across the metro area, up 8% from 9,997 in 2024, with chronic homelessness rising 17% to 3,351. Within Denver City, 7,327 people faced homelessness, up 12% year over year, alongside a rise in vehicle living as rents average $1,800 monthly, pushing more residents into makeshift shelter. High-altitude cold and harsh winter conditions turn daily survival into a grind. People bundle in layers, haul belongings through snow and wind, and shelter in tents near the South Platte River or along urban edges, where the lack of a stable roof fuels exhaustion, lost privacy, safety risks, and deep emotional weariness. Encampments clustering near trails and city margins reflect how uneven economic gains and limited housing supply keep many trapped without reliable access to basic amenities. Encouragingly, unsheltered homelessness fell metro-wide from 2,919 to 2,149, a 26% reduction, while Denver's unsheltered count dropped 45% to 785, the lowest in 6 years. Newly homeless individuals decreased from 3,535 to 2,992. Veteran street homelessness fell 61%, and multi-year declines have been highlighted as a national record. The mayor's All in Mile High initiative has expanded non-congregate shelter options and coordinated encampment removals with housing placements. Denver Rescue Mission reports housing 627 people through programs that combine meals, job training, and transitional support, while the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless provides integrated medical, mental health, and housing services that assist thousands each year. How could stable housing change a person's ability to heal, work, and reconnect in a fast-growing city? If these Denver stories in U.S. homeless stories move you, like to show your support and subscribe for more real journeys. Stay engaged to follow the full arc of resilience and shared humanity. Conclusion. Call to action. As we bring this heartfelt exploration to a gentle close in U.S. homeless stories, let's linger for a moment on the unbreakable spirit of those we've met along the way. The unsung heroes whose quiet courage lights up even the darkest corners of our cities, reminding us that every soul carries a story worth honoring and a dream worth nurturing. Picture them not just as faces in the crowd, but as fellow travelers on life's winding road, deserving of warmth, respect, and a fresh start. I hold them in my thoughts and prayers tonight, wishing for gentle winds to carry away their worries, for open hearts to offer them solace, and for the universe to wrap them in a blanket of peace, guiding them toward homes filled with love and security where they can finally rest without fear. There's so much beauty in the possibility ahead. The way communities can rally, the kindness of strangers turning into lifelines, and the simple power of one person reaching out to another to create ripples of positive change that touch us all. To you, my dear friends watching U.S. homeless stories, let's transform this shared emotion into real, meaningful steps. Volunteer at a local shelter to share a meal and a conversation. Donate gently used clothing or blankets to warm someone's night. Advocate for better housing policies in your neighborhood. or even start a small fundraiser with friends to support recovery programs. Every act, no matter how modest, weaves us closer together and builds a world where no one is left behind. Imagine the collective magic we could unleash if we all committed to just one kind gesture this week. It's in these moments that true healing begins, fostering connections that uplift entire communities and restore faith in our shared humanity. And to each of you who've journeyed with me through every poignant detail, staying engaged right up to this final word, thank you, truly, from the depths of my soul. Your time, your attention, and your open hearts are the lifeblood of U.S. homeless stories, inspiring me to keep shining a light on these vital narratives and sparking conversations that lead to lasting impact. If this voyage through U.S. homeless stories has stirred something deep within you, like to let that feeling shine, drop a comment sharing how we can all make a difference, and subscribe to walk hand in hand with us on more paths of empathy and action. Together, we're not just observers, but changemakers in a story that's still being written with hope and heart.